Hello everybody, it's your boy Powerful Slash back at it again with another PokeMMO OU video. Well, not OU video. Today we're actually going to be discussing how to actually improve at laddering. So this isn't going to be like, oh, use this team and you'll rank up for sure. This video is going to be talking more about like habits that'll help you improve your game, what things that you should do to be a more consistent competitor on the ladder. Yeah, I know the climbing the ladder can feel rough. You know, one day you're cooking real good, you're reading switches, predicting protection, and setting up on those, and the next day you're getting crit by a +2 cloister, and all your elo's gone. You know, in the video I'm gonna address dealing with hacks, but I'm not going to, you know, I'm not gonna say, hey, oh, you know, I should like, you know, make my team hacks proof or I should run stall. I'm not gonna say that. No team is hacks proof. No team is perfect. So let's get that right out of the gate. This video is not going to be run this team and you'll rank up. This is going to be talking about habits that separates, you know, lower ladder players and players that are less consistent with players that are consistent. Yeah, I mean, what really separates consistent ladder climbers isn't luck. They're not luckier on average. They're not better predictors. They have better habits that, you know, help them succeed. This video is going to be divvied up into a couple sections, talking about different aspects of what I think is important for climbing the ladder. Why should you listen to me? I've hit top 100 multiple times. You know, I've played a bunch of other ladders where I've peaked pretty highly as well. And, you know, as you can see from my videos in the past, I've hit top 100 as I previously said. I've hit top 10 before. Yeah, so I'm just going to be talking about what works best for me, what works best for other players, and how to improve. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy. If you have any questions or concerns, make sure you leave a comment. And if you like content like this, make sure you subscribe to the channel and comment what you want to see next. So the first section that I want to talk about is kind of understanding what you're climbing. Before we, you know, get into teams and making proper predictions, I want us to understand what we're climbing. And one thing I want to point out is that the PokeMMO ladder, and any ladder that you want to climb, it doesn't actually measure how good you are. Someone who is, you know, 800 rating may be a worse player than someone who's 750, but only at their peak. You know, better players tend to float towards the top of the ladder because they're more consistent than lower ladder players. So, you know, the ladder doesn't measure how good you are, it measures how consistent you are. You know, like I previously said, that players who are higher on the ladder are not luckier than anybody else on average. They're not. You know, those players play consistent and solidly enough that they win most of their games even when they get unlucky. You know, if you treat laddering like a test of, you know, trying to play perfect or anything like that, you're gonna burn out really fast. Also, I want you guys to treat matches like it's like each match should kind of be a time where you're focused. You know, and when you lose, treat it like a lesson. Don't beat yourself up over losses, because, you know, if you do that, you're never gonna climb. You're never gonna climb if you beat yourself up ever after every loss. It's not gonna work. You know, but yeah, those players that are most consistent, even when they lose, they look back at what they did wrong. They identify what they did wrong. Did they simply just get unlucky? It happens. You know, they know why they lost. They know what, you know, caused them to lose. So one thing that you should do after each of your matches, you know, did you properly identify my win condition? Did I protect my win condition? Did I throw a piece, one of my mons away too early? You know, and it's really important that you understand that making the right plays consistently is what's really going to push you over the edge. Now, you don't have to play perfect, but you have to consistently make proper plays, okay? It's not about, you know, crazy reads one game that's gonna, you know, flip the tide and then you win that one game off that read. No, it's about plays that are consistent. You know, they're consistent plays, you know, that are correct, you know, and the only way to get better at and make plays that are more correct is to go back and watch what you've done. Okay, if you make mistakes, you know, like sacking a win condition really early and you're like, oh, I should have had Reuniclus, how did I lose it? You know, go back, watch your game, and see what you did wrong. Like I said before, a lot of games that are won aren't played perfect. Even if you win the game, it can probably still be worth going back and reviewing. So yeah, understand that this game it's not about being the best player every game. It's about being a great player every game. Sorry, I worded that wrong. It's not about being the best player every couple games. It's about being a great player every game. Consistency matters. You'd rather operate at 90% 100% of the time than operate at 100% 50% of the time, if that makes sense. You always want to play great, but yeah, you want to play great, but you don't want to play perfect. If you can play perfect consistently, great, but that's impossible. Nobody can do that. No one can play perfect 100% of the time. Don't beat yourself up over small mistakes, but learn from them. Now, the next thing I'm going to talk about is what many of you actually are probably here for. We're going to go into a little bit of team usage, not as much as team building, but team usage. But yeah, one thing I want to point out is that, let's say you really want to use Audino. It's a terrible Pokemon. Terrible, terrible, terrible. It's frankly outclassed by other normal types like Chansey. It's just not consistent. It's not good. Now, it can work every now and again, but it's not going to work. You can't improve if your team is holding you back. It's going to be tempting, obviously, to build with 6 of your favorite mons and call it a day, but that's not how that works. Ladder consistency starts with, using a team with proper roles and proper synergy. If let's say you have a basketball team, right? You're not going to play 6 guards, or not 6, sorry, 5 guards. You're going to have, a real balanced team. You're going to have guys that can score in the paint, guys that can score from 3. You're going to have a bunch of different things. Your team needs to play like a team. Every Pokemon on your team needs to have a proper role. If you have Pokemon that overlap way too much, let's say I have Conkeldurr and Machamp on my team. That's not exactly that doesn't sound right, because why would I have both of these mons on my team? They're both fighting type physical wall breakers, and they do pretty similar jobs. By doing that, I make myself weaker to threats that are consistently seen. It's going to be a lot harder to deal with mons like Gengar. Both of them are really weak to Gengar. Gengar is pretty common. Both of them don't like going against bulky psychics like Reuniclus. It sucks going against those mons. But if you don't overlap your team, if you have a well-built team, you'll know. If your team, feels off and you want to test it out, make a second account. Play on that account while you test the team, while you're making adjustments. Have one account for laddering, one account for testing. That really helps. A lot of ladderers on Showdown do that, where they have one account for laddering and one account for just testing out teams. If you're not real confident in your teams, go ahead and use a sample team. Use a team from your favorite YouTuber, Smooge or Spidget. You should do that. Those teams, for the most part, are pretty solid. You can use those teams, watch how they use it, and try and perform similarly. You need, teammates that complement one another. I'm not going to go in depth on, which teammates specifically complement each other, but there's plenty of resources, which I can also link in the description, of sample teams, of, videos of people using teams to success. That kind of stuff, running a solid team that deals with the meta, it's not outdated, it's current, it's good. That also helps a lot with consistency. And once again, if you're not confident in team building, use someone else's team. There's no shame in copying someone else's game. Kobe Bryant modeled his entire game after Michael Jordan, and he won 5 championships. If I copy the best player in PokeMMO, chances are I'll get pretty high up too. Okay? So with team building and respect to that, make sure you run a team that actually works. If you're not confident in your own team building, use someone else's team. For our next section, we're going to be talking about in-game decision making, and this is kind of the real skill gap between an average ladderer player and the higher up players. Good players don't always make perfect reads. They lose slower and win cleaner. The first thing I want you guys to do is try and avoid autopiloting. Now, in a lot of video games, people have this tendency to autopilot. And what autopiloting means, basically means you're just kind of clicking what's in front of you. You're not really thinking about your plays. You're not thinking about what you're trying to, win towards. If you find yourself clicking a move like Scald every turn because it's safe and it doesn't actually progress you towards winning, you need to stop and ask yourself, what exactly am I playing toward? What Pokemon do I need to eliminate to open up my sweeper? I want you guys to think how one turn can impact the rest of the game. If you are thinking, hey, I'm just going to keep Scalding until I burn him because a burn on this is really great, I want you guys to think, hey, what does this burn actually get me? Should I actually be clicking Scald in front of this thing? Should I be trying something else to make progress? Am I just losing PP by clicking Scald? Think about stuff like that. If you don't think about stuff like that, you're going to lose. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. You're going to lose if you don't think about how you're actually going to reach the win. One thing that you could also do is on team preview, identify which mons are good for late game. So let's, for example, looking at this match that I have playing in the background, my Tyranitar looks really great, but because he has Suicune, I need to be pretty conservative with how I use Stone Edge, It's a hard click into a lot of his team. How am I going to get Gliscor low enough to make sure that I can actually enable my Tyranitar to clean up this game? So I want you guys to think about stuff like that as you approach winning the game. Don't get baited by a lot of early aggression a lot of the time. A lot of people are going to play aggressive because they're trying to keep you on your toes. But the player who keeps their win condition healthy by about turn 15, turn 20, that's the player that usually wins. It's not going to be the players that, try and, go crazy immediately. Play safe, find the best opportunity for your win condition, okay? If you have to do a win con on turn 1, if you have to just calm mind up turn 1 and that's your best play, do it. If you know that you should pivot around and wait for the opportunity, kind of chip at their team a little bit before you try and start going for a win, do that. It's as simple as that, The real in-game decision making. Think about how you're going to win on team preview, what steps you need to take towards getting to there, and do it. And just do it. If you find it doesn't work, it's okay. Sometimes, you just get unlucky. Sometimes you need to do a little bit extra for your win condition, okay? It's not always going to be, oh, this Mon just wins. There's going to be games where, yeah, this Mon just wins, but that's very rare. It's more, every match that you play is going to be a combined effort of your Mons. It's never going to be, this Mon does this and you auto win the game. That's just not how it works. And, another thing that I wanted to touch on in this section, in-game decision making, learn when to sack something. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you need to get a safe switch in. Players often, including myself, only win with like 1 or 2 mons left. Especially in a game of like offense versus offense, you need to know when to sack a Pokemon. Sometimes you just need to let something die to get a free switch. It's not always about, this Mon, oh, it could do this. But if it's going to be easier for you to win by sacking that Mon, you should do that. If you have a guaranteed win, if you sack a Mon, you go for it every time. You go for that every time. You don't try and 6-0. You never go for a 6-0 if you can't win like that. If you have a great win path of a 4-0, go for that rather than maybe winning with a 6-0. Always go for winning. Winning is the most important thing. Winning, winning, winning. Okay? Making the proper in-game decision, this is the real skill gap here, is the proper way to winning. Next thing I wanted to touch on, this will be a little bit of a short section here. This is going to be replay review, learning from losses. I already touched on this a little bit earlier. If you really want to improve fast, and this goes for any game, League of Legends, Valorant, Call of Duty, any game where you're trying to rank up. If you want to improve fast, watch your own replays, record your gameplay. After a loss, don't instantly queue again. Look back and ask, what did I do wrong? Where did my momentum swing? Did I identify how my opponent could win? Could I preserve my own win condition better? This is a little uncomfortable, obviously, recording and just watching, and it can get boring. But that is where 80% of improvement happens. This is where most players get better. If you play in a sport, you have to watch film. That's how anyone gets better at the sport. That's how they learn to make proper plays over time. Another thing that you can do is watch good players' replays. The game has an in-game built spectate function. Watch the top players on the ladder play. You can watch them at any time you want. See how they're playing, how they position, how they scout sets. You'll start noticing patterns for sure on how they play. Another thing that you could do is, a side-by-side of your replay against a high elo player's replay. If you're spectating high elo players, record their game, see side-by-side. If you're using their team, see how they use the team, see like that. something simple like that. Just watching your games back, learning from your losses, looking at what you did wrong. Something like that is just the easiest way to improve. It's the easiest way to improve, for sure. All right, for the next section, we're going to be discussing, mindset and dealing with ladder tilt, and building, proper habits. So let's talk about the ladder's biggest boss fight. Okay, it's your own mindset. You're gonna get hacks. You'll lose to bad players. You'll click the wrong move and instantly regret it. That's all part of it. The difference between a 600 elo player and a 700 elo player isn't always skill. It's a lot of it is just emotional control. So if you find yourself, getting angry at the game or raging after every loss, take a break. Don't chase elo. And another thing that I want you guys to do is limit how many games you play each session. Okay, I want you guys to only play maybe maximum 10 games a day. That's what I do right now, and maybe take 3 breaks in between each time. If you do this, you're going to make sure that your mind is, reset and good for each game that you play. It's also going to make sure that you are, not burning yourself out with a lot of games. If you take small breaks and kind of do it in incremental bursts, it's going to feel a lot easier than playing like 20 games all at once. Another thing that I want you guys to realize is, like, when you get hacked, just chill out, okay? A lot of the time, you lost not because they hacked you. It's because you made a bad decision before that, and then you just happen to get hacks later, okay? When you start to recognize that, you'll start winning more, okay? Because you won't make those mistakes anymore. Another thing is also, this is a little different. You probably didn't expect to hear this in this video. Make sure you get enough sleep, okay? I know this sounds crazy, but you need enough sleep for your brain to operate properly. This is a strategy game. Don't forget that. Your brain needs to operate at max capacity. Make sure you get 8 hours of sleep every day. Get sleep at the right time. At the same time you go to sleep should be the same time you go to sleep every single day. The time you wake up should be the same time you wake up every day. If you do that, not only is it going to help with laddering, it's going to help in life in general. Alright, so I hope that this video was a little bit helpful. I hope you guys that realize that improving on the ladder isn't all about memorizing matchups. It's not always about playing perfect. It's not always about playing the most games. It's about building good habits, playing each turn properly, having a calm mindset, a consistent team that can help you win. The more you focus on learning instead of just winning, the faster your elo is going to follow. If you found this helpful, drop a like, subscribe, and comment your current rank. I want to see how many of you guys are going to hit top 100 this season. And I'm going to be battling too, so I'll see y'all on the ladder. If you found this helpful, once again, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time.